Alright, so for the next part, we're actually going to hop back over to Maya. Because what we need is a map of the UVs. So I go ahead and select everything. Open the UV editor, which is going to be in UV editor. And then polygons, UV snapshot. So you have to tell it where you want it to go and what you want it to be called. And for some reason it likes to put it in some silly spot. Anyway, I've already exported it. And I exported it as a TGA. And it is in Photoshop right here. So if I open this up originally, this is kind of what it looks like out of Maya. So I know this is where my light needs to go. So I went on YouTube, or I went on Google and found a light that I liked and positioned it approximately where it needed to go. And then you want to hide the background, and in the alpha, make everything that's transparent black and everything that's opaque white. And then you save it as a 32-bit image. That way it'll get the alpha channel in there. So over here in Painter, when we grab that image, pistol light, go to add resources. Sorry, it's already been added. We go to undefined texture, and then current session and import. So for this, I am actually going to, we can put it in the same, well, I'll make a new folder. Actually, it's only one thing. It doesn't need a new folder. We'll just make a new layer here. But I want it to be underneath the dirt and the oil. So new fill layer. And then here in the base color, where normally we had just a solid color, I'm actually going to select, let's see, what did I call this thing? You could just scroll through till you find it. There we are, pistol light. So what's cool about it is it will go exactly where it's supposed to go. So there's no need to sort of line up with the stencil. You can just get it perfectly situated. So I'm going to add a mask with color selection, and we're going to discover something, which is that there is actually space here that I don't really want on this material ID. So I'm going to go to the fill. I want this thing to be very shiny so that it looks like it's got a piece of glass on it. But now that shininess is showing up on the inside of this rim. So how do we fix that? I'm going to hit black mask. Sorry, we're going to add a paint here. Because we've already got a mask, we don't want to mess with that. So add paint. And I'm going to go to this icon right here, which is really pretty cool. What it'll do is it'll fill either the triangle, the quad, the entire element, or the UV shell. So I'm going to hop over to my 3D 2D here. And if we look at the mask, we can see this UV shell shouldn't have any white on it, but it does. So I'm going to go to black, I'm going to select UV, and I'm just going to click there. And now we have a much more accurate, if low poly version of this mask. So I can hit M to go back to the original. And I'm going to hop out of this mode by clicking the paintbrush. Oh, for some reason it looked like it didn't take that. Let me try that one more time. So we are filling black. Or trying to, I need to be on the paint there. Well, it seems kind of unhappy about that for some reason. Let's see if it reverts again. Nope, all good. Cool. All right. So, if you know exactly where your little icon is going to go, or your little image, I think the best way to position it is by looking at the UV shell. And if you need to import your normal map, so for instance, like if I wanted to put the, let me go ahead and switch this back to just 3D, the little red sight things back there, that's not going to show up in the low poly, but it'll definitely show up in the normal map, and I can track it down where those little circles need to go. And that's going to be a lot easier than trying to paint it either with the mouse in the 3D viewer here, or with the stencil thing. But the stencil thing can be pretty useful, right? So just wanted to go ahead and make sure that you understood how that worked. And I think in the couple minutes I have left, I'll just go ahead and throw some kind of similar material here on the, we'll just call this the smaller bits. Something kind of gray. Let's go ahead and add a color selection on there. And for the material properties, we'll make it metallic. Maybe halfway metallic, so it fits a little bit better. And again, it's under the dirt and oil, so that stuff should show up. All right, well, so there's your crash course in Painter. Hopefully you found it to be useful. It's got a lot of features, many of which I covered, but certainly not all. Like these things here are pretty cool. You can make stamps with them. In fact, I can show you real quick how that works. We'll just hop here on the smaller bits. In fact, it's going to need to be just an empty layer, and we'll turn everything off except the normal on that empty layer, and then you can just kind of come over and grab one of these things, drag it onto the normal thing. Oh, and also the brush I'm using is back to I don't know. I think I'm going to default to hard, and you can just sort of stamp that stuff directly in. So one of the drawbacks of using this technique is this doesn't really show up in the curvature map, so you're not going to get any edge wear type results on there. But you sure can save a lot of time if you've got some greebly stuff that you just got to kind of punch in to fill in some empty space. It can be really useful. So anyway, there you go. Hopefully this has been enough to get you going with Painter. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email. My name again is Isaac Oster. My email address is isaac.oster@gmail.com, and you can find more of my work at isaacoster.com. Thanks a lot.